So often when we're planning and anticipating a trip or a pilgrimage, we lose sight of things in our day-to-day, or sometimes the heavy things in our day-to-day get easier because we have our carrot approaching. It's getting closer, what we get to do and look forward to. But we want to talk today about how going on pilgrimage can actually help reorient us in our day-to-day life towards the ultimate pilgrimage. So if you're new here, we are Ben and Rita Johnson. We are the owners of On Pilgrimage, and in this podcast, we really seek to have conversations about pilgrimage and encouraging people to live their life as pilgrims and as a step on this amazing journey that we're on. So Ben, in our day-to-day, when we are, we definitely all have tasks in our day-to-day that is more drudgery than joy. How have you found in the moments we've been able to step away and go on pilgrimage that it has allowed for you to come back into normal life and see it more as a pilgrim's journey?
I think that one of the ways that we've experienced that is when on pilgrimage, whether it's a very specific destination that we planned out or one that we fit into our travels to our end destination,
or one we stumbled on,
that you'll inevitably find a point in that trip, that pilgrimage trip, where things aren't going as well as you'd like them to, or perhaps are maybe disappointing in some way. Examples that we probably would be good examples that we've experienced is you show up to a church that you were looking forward to exploring and seeing, and the doors are locked. Even though it said in the bulletin or online that it'd be open at that time, the doors are locked and you have no way to get in.
But just as heartbreaking, you rush everyone out the door from the hotel, hurry them through hotel breakfast, drive through the traffic, get to the church for what should be a 9 a.m. Mass, and you find it was an 8 a.m. Mass.
Yes. So I bring that up because during those times of disappointment or frustration, you are reminded why you're doing it. It's not, it feels different than, showing up late for a movie if the ball game gets rained out or something, because your purpose in those instances were entertainment and enjoyment, and they just had a focus towards self-pleasure. Whereas when you're approaching something from a pilgrimage mindset and these things happen, your mind turns to God and to, okay, this didn't work out exactly the way we wanted it to, or perhaps something was interruptive or whatever, but you're there for the purpose of deepening your relationship with God, to experience something holy here on earth. And if you're still at the parish, the church, and Mass had just gotten over, you still have an opportunity to pray. You still have an opportunity to embrace that time that's been set apart, for a deepening of your faith.
Yeah. I think you also have an opportunity to embrace disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Like a deep level of disappointment. There is as we all experience, those of us that are Catholic, we have this hunger for the sacraments, and that hypothetical situation happened to us about a month ago, and I remember how sorrowful I felt praying in that church, because I thought I was going to be praying in that church and then receiving our Lord in Holy Communion. We were not able to attend Mass that day instead, and it just totally, it upended my expectations. And that was something I had to deal with. And in our day-to-day life, as we're pursuing the ultimate pilgrimage, we have to embrace disappointments to a point that we can then allow for them to form our souls, right? As we offer that back up, and then we can lean into what the Lord is asking us to learn in that moment, in that disappointment, in that failed hope. Even if what we want is only good, right? Receiving our Lord in Holy Communion when we're in a state of grace is only good. But there was something the Lord had for me that day that was different.
I think what you're saying with the deep disappointment is that what we find is that we're setting our expectations for something. We're doing that in the pilgrimage. We're doing that in our actual life. But that there's a different plan. There's a like God has a plan for us, and even though in those opportunities, and sometimes it's because of our failing, right? I forgot to double check the bulletin, or I checked the website, but not the bulletin, which has the more updated information, or we ran into traffic, things that are out of our control. And disappointment is generally like us setting our expectations and the world failing to meet them, whereas what pilgrimage orients you to is, in those times of disappointment, to look to God and say, I'm still here to receive you in whatever way I can. If we can reorient our lives to do the same when we feel those same disappointments, I think it really is a way to embrace a pilgrimage mentality in your everyday life.
Yeah, I think too another component of this is anytime we are traveling, there are things that inevitably are beyond our control. Even if we're driving, you may have to have one more potty stop than you had anticipated, and then you get stuck in awful rush hour traffic, and then you get, just your whole day gets waylaid when you thought, I will have this time at the end of the day, and then you get there 4 hours later. We've had this happen, and flying is, the same thing, right? You get to the gate, you're about to board, the flight is canceled, right? And now all of a sudden, you're there a whole nother day, you have to figure out a whole nother way to get back home. But I think all of these things then are reminders when we're thinking about our trip and our travels as pilgrimage. It's a reminder of the ways in our day-to-day life as adults that we're not in control of our lives. We are not in control of what lies ahead for us on the path. And the more that we recognize that, and the more we release that and give that to the Lord, the more then He can work with us. I always have this this picture of our Lord as just the most incredible gentleman, right? Like, He is not going to push Himself on us. We have to be open to Him. And so even in these little ways, when we are open to Him, then it translates into these much bigger arenas of our life, and ways that then we can allow Him to come in and transform and really shape our lives to become the saints and the people He's calling us to.
Yeah. So another way that you can, as we were talking about it, the ways that we can that pilgrimage helps you reorient your life to a pilgrimage mentality, for the ultimate pilgrimage, our pilgrimage from here on earth to heaven, is, I think that when you're on pilgrimage, obviously you come with a prayerful spirit. That's something in the front of your mind, something that you schedule. You actually build it out in your plans. Like, we're going to say the Divine Mercy Chaplet at the church when we arrive, or we'll do the Stations of the Cross at the parish as we're visiting it. But also, what I've started to notice is that you begin to, because you're going to see beautiful sights, to see holy sights, you start to see it more in your day-to-day. Like, I would say that I start noticing Mary statues in somebody's yard more often, and giving that more weight than I have in the past. Of, oh, they're Catholic, they have a Marian statue. It's like, no, they actually took the time, the effort, the energy to honor Mary in their home in that way. Same when you see somebody that's wearing, maybe wearing a scapula or a beautiful medal, that those people are taking that upon them to live out their faith in a more daily way, as we pilgrimage towards our end destination. And I think that you see it with the churches that you pass by on the expressway, the cemeteries that you might pass by when you're driving by. Just a continual reflection upon the holiness that pervades all of the earth through God's creation, through the faithful lives of those that have gone before us, and the beautiful architecture in the churches that they've left us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I do think that it changes and shapes for us personally, since beginning to really explore and pursue what pilgrimage as a definitive, oh, this is a trip we did and it was a pilgrimage. Another way it has changed us, transformed us, is those things that some people, I think, are really good about doing this without having had these encounters that we have had through traveling outside of our local region. But for us, we needed that to be able to come back home and see through fresh eyes, whether it's things like, oh, there's a cemetery right there and we should stop and pray, or there is this beautiful church right in our community. Let's go there. Let's stop by there. Let's, learn what's special and incredible about the history there. Or making connections with other churches that we had this really cool one. We discovered that it was the same architect who designed St. Anne in Detroit, the minor basilica there, as the cathedral basilica in northern Kentucky, in Covington. And being from Michigan and now living in northern Kentucky, that was a really special relationship we discovered. And it allows for us to see these things as gifts from our Lord, right? That Cathedral of St. Anne's we just had gone to, and it was so beautiful and striking, and it resonated with us. And then we got to go on this tour of the Cathedral Basilica in Covington, and finding out that detail, that common thread, it just is so beautiful, and it allows for us to be more open to those gifts that the Lord is giving us and little graces in our day-to-day. And so such a beautiful thing, too, that I don't know that we would have the same eyes to see if we hadn't had this encounter on trips.
Yeah.
So ultimately, then, obviously, we all need to do whatever we can when we're focusing on our ultimate pilgrimage, to constantly call to mind the ways that in our mundane ordinariness of ordinary time, that we are always stepping towards eternity, and having that really front and center is something that I think we all would agree that we're willing to do whatever it costs to be able to give that to our children, to give that to ourselves in our day-to-day life. And it's something really beautiful that we've seen again and again with people when we talk to them about pilgrimage.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, wherever you're at and however it works best with your family, to pursue your life as pilgrimage, even if it's just in your own town. There's so much out there that the Lord wants to give us, from our historical faith, from the very deep history we have even here in the United States, but also throughout the whole world.